Hello, my Resinettes. Thank you for being here and welcome to my channel. This is Cedral's Emporium. And this series, this part of it, is not the disaster area, but it is close to the disaster area, I have to admit. Okay? Because this series is going to be on how to make Orgonite, well, not Orgonite pendants, but Orgonite Pyramids, okay? And I'll start slow, especially for those of you that are very, very new to this, okay? This is the thing. We could start off with the small Orgonite Pyramid and gradually grow from there. Okay, there are many Orgonite YouTube channels where you can pick up like tips and hints, clues. But don't get confused over what's already said in those channels, because it can confuse anybody really. When I started, it confused the shit out of me, but I gradually had to start on my own, in other words, okay? And that's the best part of it all. You need to start on your own. Do the research, because the only way that you can learn is by actually hands-on. Hands-on, that's all I could say. And then start small and then grow from there, okay? Now, before getting into this video, you can pause it and take a moment to review the videos below that cover the different UV resins and epoxy resins, as well as the video on cups, because it does cover the information that you're going to need in order to graduate to the pyramid. And look at my little miniature here. It's La Frontera. This was made years ago, about 10 years ago. But anyway, and it was in storage for like 7 years. So I have to like kind of like fix it a little bit. If you notice that the little chandelier is missing here. Actually, it's not missing, it's down below. And the other one is there, but I have to go ahead and put this one back on. But I have to polish it and kind of clean it up so it could look really pretty, because I have somebody that's interested in it. So I'm gradually doing that. So I got little projects going on. So I apologize for not being here for a long length of time. But I did want to show you the do's and don'ts on creating your pyramid. And like I said, you can get information from others as well. Okay, but I want to show you my experiences and in mistakes, of course, that we make, that sometimes we don't think about. Hey, to this day, I still forget to put, and I know this is not going to mean anything to you right now, but to this day, I sometimes forget to put a toothpick on the bottom of the pyramid in order to prevent the pyramid from growing a hole. And I'll show that to you afterwards. You'll see what I'm trying to say. Because let me show you one here. Okay, this one is a no-no. It's a do not do. And the reason that this one is a no-no is because this one in particular, I overheated the resin. Okay, and I'll show you that too, so that you'll be familiar as to how or not to, overheat. And I'll show it to you. This is what it looks like. What I'm going to do is sand it down, just make it to this size. You see that bubbling thing? That's overheating. Anyway, and in the center, there's a little resin box with a Herkimer diamond in it. So this is why I still want to save this. But this is what I was talking about when you do not use a toothpick to put on the bottom. I don't know if you could see it. You see the apex is not a point. It's actually an indentation because there was a bubble there. Okay? So when I use a toothpick, you see the apex is not pointing? Okay. When I use the toothpick, then the toothpick prevents this apex from doing this, being flat. It makes it pointy. Okay? But this is one of the no-nos. And we'll get into that. You know, I collect all of my no-nos so that I can show you what it looks like. Okay? But this is one of them. I'm just this would have been a huge, beautiful pyramid, except of course that I overheated it, and once I noticed it, you see how it bubbled up on the bottom. I'm talking about the edges on here. It's not supposed to be that way, so that was the reason why I stopped at this point and just decided to take it out once it was cured. All right, now I'm going to attempt to turn this around to show you another no-no. Aside from this one, I'll show you this one. This is another no-no. Do you see the openings on there? Okay, that's another no-no, and I'm going to tell you why this is a no-no. The apex, see, is beautiful because I used whatchamacallit, the toothpick. But if you don't use a toothpick, that bubble will stay right there. But the reason that this is a no-no is because I have the tendency to experiment with mediums. And what I did was I added too much of one thing, which was the acrylic paint as I went along. And instead of curing, it was like gummy, completely gummy. And then I coated it again. Again, that's why it's so shiny. I coated it again, but still, it's in bad shape. Now I have to, you know, this is like an impossible sanding situation because of the grooves that are in there. They have to be filled. So, yeah. And no matter how many times I kept filling them, I still had the groove. It's a permanent groove simply because this was acrylic paint and it was like gum. It was gummy all over. So it didn't cure to the max due to that. You know, like I said, the do's and don'ts, you know, through my experiences. And then this way you can learn from them, and when you do your own, you can let me know what you did, you know, and we can share the knowledge on it. So I'm going to attempt to show you this other one, which the first layer that I made was, I have to admit, it was overheated. And so I have to do this slowly or this is going to knock me out. Oops. Okay, so here we go. Let's see now if it doesn't knock me out. So now, let me see, because it does, it just knocks me out completely. Okay, so here we go. And this is it right here. So what happened was, see, I have to keep it level because I have a leveler right by it. So to make sure that it's level, especially when I'm pouring the resin. So the first layer I did overheat. Now the second layer, although it's perfect, it is a perfect layer. There's no overheating with the resin or anything like that. But big mistake that I made, okay? I normally take sand, because the red that you see here is sand. I normally take sand and I mix it in the cup with the resin. And in this case, I did not do that. I went ahead and I put the sand in first, and then I poured, after I set the sand, I poured the resin, which created immense bubbles. Even though I used my heat gun, my torch, and I also used a straw, anything to prevent the bubbles from coming up, but they were all coming up, so I had to supervise this for the longest time. And even supervising it and leaving it after a little while it was curing, it still created those huge ass bubbles. So I have like 1, 2, 3. I have another one, a little one, this little one, and then on the other side. And it just created those bubbles, and they're there permanently. Let me see if I can twist that. Okay. So, and what you see here, those round copper, those are copper tubings. And what I did was I cut the tubings, and I put one in the middle to extend to the apex, and then cut smaller ones on there, but filled them up with sand. And again, this is what created the bubbles, because like I said, my normal thing is I got lazy, to go ahead and put them in the epoxy resin, and then put it on there, and then so you kind of sort it out with your toothpick, or with I use these as well, but to sort it out with your toothpick, fix it as you go along. I even use my ruler. I use my ruler for the edges to make sure that everything is, in its place. And so, everything is in its place. It's fine, this layer here, with the exception of the bubbles. Okay? But I don't mind with this one in particular, because this one is for me. This one here, I'm going to keep. It's not something I'm going to give away or sell or anything like that. Now, when I'm selling, I definitely use, and I'm very, very careful with the resin and with the inclusions. I'm very careful with how I'm doing it, and if I have to repeat it again, destroy the first one and repeat it again, I do it. Because when you're selling it to someone, you're not going to sell it with a bunch of freaking bubbles all over the damn place. I mean, unless you're doing an ocean scene, or a bubble bath scene. But other than that, no. So I will be starting to show you the small ones, the small pyramids, like this one, okay, that you can do yourself in a decorative way, and you'll learn how to do layer by layer. And so this way you'll get an idea of it, and if you're really interested in it, then you can invest in it. All right, because this is not, I'm telling you now, this is not cheap. I thought it was. I mean, you could do it cheaply, if you're going to do something small. But if you're going to start getting, as you start growing with it, it doesn't really get cheap. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here. All right. Well, anyway, this is the thing. Now, the videos are going to be in several parts, because I am not a whiz on editing. I haven't even tried it, because I don't know, I hesitate. But eventually I'll get there. Eventually. Maybe in 2021. Again, I'm going to remind you to please take a moment to review the videos below that cover the different UV resins and the epoxy resins, as well as the video on cups or any supplies that you might need, because that is something that if you don't have it with you, then you won't be able to do a hands-on. Okay? Love you, my Resinettes. Love you. I'll talk to you soon. Talk to you soon, all right? Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.